Hello, welcome to the Mayor and Board of the Village of Wappingers Falls reorganization meeting for the year 2020-2021. As you know, the elections have been delayed, and they were delayed 6 months. So we're doing the appointments and the committee names for a 6-month period to end on April 3rd, 2021. So, and I'd just like to ask you before we get started more, if you could all mute yourselves if you are not speaking. So there's somebody who needs to mute themselves. And I believe it's the phone. So whoever's on the phone.
That's me. Hold on, I'm trying to.
Yep. There you go. Okay, so at this time, I'd like to ask that we all say the Pledge of Allegiance. So I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, and John, would you do the roll call?
Mayor Alexander.
Here.
Trustee Huber.
Here.
Trustee Markajohn.
Here.
Trustee Nesnet.
Here.
Trustee Catalano.
Here.
Trustee Lammers.
Here.
Trustee Panessa.
Here.
Okay, so I've confirmed with the village attorney that tonight's meeting has been convened in accordance with the governor's March 13th, 2020 Executive Order 202.1 and all superseding orders which suspend certain provisions of the open meetings law to allow a municipal board to convene a meeting via video conferencing. In accordance with the executive order, the public has been provided with the ability to view tonight's work session meeting, and a transcript will be provided at a later date. I've done a roll call, the clerk has done a roll call of the board members, and there is a quorum present for this meeting. I've also confirmed with the village clerk that this meeting has been duly noticed. We have fulfilled our legal notice requirements by posting notice on the village's bulletin boards and posting notice on the village's homepage of its website and listing it on the village Facebook page. So at this time, I would like to ask John Zarowski if he could take us through the project discussion.
Evening, everybody. This is John Zarowski with KC Engineering. I just want to go through, let me share my screen to bring up the meeting. That's it. Okay, can everybody see it? Let me know when you can.
Yep.
Yes, okay, so this yesterday we opened bids for the boathouse exterior improvement project. 4 bids were received. The lowest bidder was Woodland Manor. He came in at $170,261.25 for the base bid. There was an ad for additional site lighting, which brought the combined total to $188,261.25. I've reviewed the bids. Everything seems to be in order. And if there's funding, I sent a letter of recommendation with my meeting minutes this month. I mean, if the board if there's funding allowed, then we should get this awarded quickly, because this is a quick turnaround job. We're trying to get it done this year. And my understanding is that there's funding on the line for this, that if we don't use, we lose. So if the board wants to, they can vote upon that. If I go down to the next item, Franny Reese is nearly done. There's only a couple things left. There's some handrails that need to be done, the fence and the gate, and the power needs to be energized, which this was coordinated with the TAP project, and the TAP project is on hold. So that's going to happen soon. So that project should be nearing completion. It'll be a little over the designated schedule date, but that was more based on COVID delays than anything. Moving to the next project, the tap improvements. And this is on West Main Street. As you may or may not know, Contact was out there working. They encountered a shallow gas line. They were doing everything they were supposed to, and they broke the line. Central Coast Hudson came out and decided they needed to replace the entire gas line on West Main Street in the project area, and in the process, collapsed the retaining wall, a stone retaining wall, on West Main Street, which brought the entire project to a stop. Hudson trying to, I guess this is part of the thing, they want to set a regulator on village property to backfeed making repairs and getting through this whole thing. In the meantime, Contact is supposed to be out there on Monday morning. Finish the sidewalk as much as they can. Obviously, the piece of sidewalk next to the retaining wall is going to be closed until this is resolved. And this is really between Central Hudson and New York State DOT. The village should probably try and stay away from this as much as possible, other than just being there and paying attention. But this should be handled between those two. That's my recommendation. I have no idea if they're going to be able to make the construction date, obviously because of all the delays with this gas main. Moving forward, contract 5.
John, let me break in here. So on Monday, September 28th, as you know, we met with the contractor and Central Hudson and DOT. And I do believe that if all of those parties are able to do what they say that they can do, that Contact should be able to finish the project, with the exception of either the 50 feet in front of the property where there is no building, or the 100 feet of property along West Main Street, which would include the Mount Carmel at 2678 West Main Street. That's the building that collapsed in 2015. So they're assessing whether or not they can put sidewalk in front of that location or not. And also they're assessing how the curb would be situated around those two areas right now. So there's a 50-foot section that belongs to the village, and then there's where a building no longer stands at all. And then there's a 50-foot section where a building foundation stands, but no building. Okay, go ahead. I just thought that was a good
Okay, that's fine. Continuing, so contract 5 is the primarily the water interconnect with the town of Wappingers. We're building a 12-inch water line down Losey Road and connecting our water system to the Wappingers, town of Wappingers, through a PRV valve because there's a pressure differential between the two systems. And then we were targeting that to go to the review to the Department of Health in the next week or so. We did add the Route 9 sewer work that couldn't be completed from contract 4 as directed. They encountered some buried gas tanks in front of Arrow Auto Glass that had been leaking, and there was an environmental cleanup associated with that. So this piece of the contract 4 could never be built last year, and that contract was closed. So we've now included that in the contract 5 scope. However, funding for that was through AFC and is no longer available. So this is a project funded by the village. Hopefully we can get some funding in the future for it. We're targeting late 2020, so probably November, December to get this out to bid. And the village is supposed to have a public meeting about this. So presented by me, so let me know when we want to do that. Moving forward, the water filter building, we're doing a USDA funding application for that. We have our end pretty much done. We just need a couple of pieces from the village to complete the application and submit it. This is all done online, so it's just a matter of getting that done. The Bain Park survey and master plan is supposed to kick off later this coming month, in October. That's just a conceptual plan for the park, site design with some playground equipment, and of course, preparing the environmental assessment forms associated with the work. The grease trap planning project is moving forward. There was a committee meeting held on the 28th of moving forward to get that completed. We're intending to get that done this year. The EPA grant brownfield assessments, we're still waiting for EPA to approve the bleachery site. So, and once we get that done, we'll be able to move forward with a phase 2 environmental assessment on the bleachery site. The water, sewer and water infrastructure study was submitted back in August of 2019. I'm probably going to drop this from the list going forward. We have heard nothing more on this, so I'm not sure if we need to do anything else there. And Podgy Terrace, very similar. We met at the site. This is a extension of a water and sewer line for a Habitat for Humanity cluster of homes. And we've done most of the work, but we just need to know what else you need done from us. And that's my meeting minutes.
Okay, there's a couple of things on here. So John, I would say that it's possible that the when I went out to Amenia today to look at other ways of reducing phosphorus, that might be something that goes into that report for the county. It certainly will go into the LWRP report. So that
Right. I don't know that it fits into the water or sewer infrastructure report.
Well, only if it ends up changing the infrastructure.
In the town end, yes.
Yeah, so it would just be an addendum to it that we would add.
Right.
So there will be more information about that. I don't have much more information than what I just said.
Yeah, I will try and set that meeting up so we can move this, see if we can get this off to going forward.
Okay, and then the public meeting, I think I think that's not ready yet either, but Corey Yusevich, are you on?
Yeah, I'm here.
So do we need to have a meeting for USDA, or was that satisfied with the newspaper?
Yeah, that was satisfied with the newspaper,
Okay,
and we
There's
have
a couple of financial pieces I think we need.
okay.
yeah. Well, as for a public meeting, no, we don't need to do anything further with the board. We've approved that we're going ahead with the application, and it's been.
Okay, and you're working on getting the other information?
Yeah,
or-
we just need to fill in a little bit more financial information and
Okay.
get one more thing signed, and then that should be submitted very soon.
Okay. Are there any questions about the projects?
Yes, Mayor, I got one about the Franny Reese.
Is that Kevin?
You hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead, Kevin.
I got one about Franny Reese with the steps.
Yeah,
They seem a little like short, you know what I'm saying? Is that the way their design's supposed to be, or did someone screw up?
No, they were designed to be easy. I don't know if John knows this part. They were designed to be easier steps, but they are going to look at them and to make sure that they meet the specifications. But it's designed so that it doesn't, it's supposed to be easier for people to go up these steps.
we went out there and measured them. Once we,
Yeah, just talk about the height. It seems like they're just like, shorter, that's all.
yeah,
When you go up a step, it's usually quite a few
Right.
inches. They seem just a little shy of those inches.
yeah, I think there's 6-inch rises. And that is a very short step, but it was intended for people that are slightly disabled, older people to be able to handle the steps.
Okay, any other questions?
Okay. Sounds good.
are we going to move forward on the boathouse? We would need to move that.
Yeah,
as soon as
I just
possible.
want to make sure there's no other questions. Are there any
Okay.
other questions? Okay, if there's no other questions, I did check, so we are still on track to be able to afford the changes to this with the grants that we have for the paving. It was over budget. So with the lighting, without the lighting, we would be $5,000 less than the total grants that we have. But with the lighting, if we decide to go ahead with that, there would be an extra $13,000 that's not included in the grants that we have. So it would be my recommendation that we go ahead and do the whole project for 188,000. Do you guys want to discuss? And so just to give you an idea of what that is, that would include a concrete patio behind the boathouse, and it would go the entire length of the rear of the boathouse overlooking the water. And it would be, I think it, John, is it 10 feet deep? About?
I believe we did around 10 feet deep.
Yeah, so it's a 10-foot deep patio that goes the 90, or excuse me, it's not 90 feet long, but it's about 70 feet long. And it includes the paved parking, a ramp that goes up to the entrance, and sidewalks and lighting. So if you're okay with that, I would like to get a motion to accept the $188,261.25 bid with the additional site lighting, with contingent upon the review of the contracts with the attorney and the bid documents.
Mayor, it's all the extras on that?
We would be.
Is that the project completed?
That would complete the project. It would be done. The only thing that we might do later would be to look for funding for a dock, a floating dock that would be closer to the boathouse itself instead of the ramp that's about 600 feet south of the building.
Right, okay. Okay.
Mayor, one question, the additional 18,000, I think that's what it is, right? 170 was the base bid and then 188 with the additional lighting. Could you just clarify for me a little bit where the additional lighting?
So it would be lighting that would match, and what we could do is we could leave that out and you could just have the lighting that comes off of the big tall pole. But this would be LED lighting that would not be from the road light and from the large Central Hudson pole that sticks up in the center area there.
Mhm. Okay.
So Matt, I take it that would be needed for any events that were going to be held there at night?
No, well, you could go without the lighting and have just the lighting that is on the wood pole, the big tall wood pole, and it's higher up than the other lighting would be.
So sort of like a street light, just light from
There's a couple of existing streetlights that do light the parking lot enough right now. We did as an alternate to add the lights more typical to the rest of the village, the smaller decorative lights, just as an alternate to see if we could get that in as well. So it would be a prettier light, but again, not necessary.
So it's more for appearance than to be
It's for
functional.
appearance, but it's also for additional light. It's not,
For
the other light is sufficient, but this would be more light than than just what's sufficient.
Mhm.
How many, John, do you know how many light poles that is? We can't hear you, John.
I thought I unmuted. Sorry. It's 4 additional lights, and it just gives a better light profile across the entire site, a better ratio than the big lights mounted high on a pole. That's all. But either way, both of them meet the requirements. Just the one is more aesthetic. And we are wiring it so that you can do them in the future if you want to. There will be a way to do that in the future if you want to hold off on that.
So is there any preference from the board?
Is there a picture available at all, or?
Do you have that, John?
That would show the difference between the two?
John, you're still muted.
Sorry, let me look for it. I don't have it readily available. I didn't.
Corey, do you have it?
All right. Yeah, I also don't have it available. I'm searching around for it right now. I could get back to you if I find it, but I'm just going.
I'm looking. Hang on. We did send the documents out. So
If it's something where we were to wire it and not do it in the immediate project, is the $5,000 that would be left of the grant, would it still be available at that time?
So, I'm sorry, I don't know who's speaking.
It's Kristen.
Oh, Kristen, okay. Yes, it would. So we would still be able to spend $5,000 on something else.
okay, I have it. Let me share my-
So go ahead and share that.
Let me know when you can see it.
Not yet.
So in the center of the screen is the light
Not yet.
we used at Franny Reese.
Not yet.
It'll probably take a little bit
Is
because
it the same ones that are at Franny Reese?
I believe so. I think that's what we.
Okay.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. This is on my end, not on your end. All right.
Okay.
There's 2 prompts to get it to share.
So there's 4 of these, John.
Yes, 4 additional lights around the outside of the perimeter of the parking lot. They're decorative lights. They have a connection for, you wanted to put like lighted wreaths on it. There's an outlet on them. And this is the pole we've been using around the village and other projects. We did this as, like I said, an alternate ad so that you could decide whether or not you wanted to spend the money on this site. The existing lighting is just the big street lights in the back of the parking lot and at the road. So these would be LED lights, I believe, on a timer or just on off.
I think
I think you should. Go ahead, Mayor.
Go ahead. Say that, Kevin?
I like the lights down here because you're going to need some lighting for security down there. I mean, if you leave it dark, it's going to be no security. And I mean, across the street, the highway, if we don't do the lights, we haven't done the lights at the new highway garage yet. So I mean, it would be something I feel that'll never get done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I also think you can tell, so if you remember the difference between the lighting where we put these lights on East Main Street on the bridge and now on West Main Street, that's the difference in lighting that you'll see from the very high normal wood pole light versus these lights. So you would see that kind of difference at the location. And it's a much better light.
And these lights are part of the 188, 261, 25, correct?
Yes,
Yep.
it's an $18,000 add-on.
I'd rather see it completed now, Mayor, personally.
How about the rest of you guys?
I just say, let's finish this project and wrap it up.
Yep,
I agree.
okay.
In a second.
Yeah.
Okay, so could one of you make a motion that we accept the 188, 261, 25 with the alt add for additional site lighting contingent upon the review by the attorney for the contract, both the contract and the bid documents?
I'll make it.
Second.
Seconded by trustee Markojan.
Yes, sir.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, so the next item on the agenda is the, I'm sorry, I skipped over the RFQ for the retaining wall, so I apologize for that. So the next
Matt?
item,
Before you go any further, do you need me anymore or are we done?
I think we're good.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. Very good. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Night.
Okay, so the village, when we ran up against this issue, so we have two other parties who have both have an interest in this roadway. One is Central Hudson, the other one is the Department of Transportation in the village of Wappingers Falls. Because we believe that the retaining wall is an issue between the Central Hudson and the Department of Transportation. We've also submitted it to our insurance just to be very clear that we're protecting ourselves from any liability because it does impact our property. But in the meantime, we've asked that we go out to bid and do a request for qualifications for engineers who could help do an analysis of this site. This site was where we were originally going to spend, it's the site where we were originally awarded the $500,000 for, and that was, the purpose was to do a construction of what we would call Galucci Park in the future. And the idea was that we would put a deck at this location and it would overlook the gorge and have benches and lighting where you could stop and enjoy looking down at the gorge and the water going through. So there is a possibility that we could, one other thing that we'd like to, the first and foremost, the most important thing is that we make this walkway safe for Village of Wappingers Falls pedestrians who are walking by it. The second most important thing is that we make this safe for the structures that are located north and south of this location. And then the third item that we might want to see is so we were out there on Monday and we were talking to one of the contractors and I just said, well, what would you do here? And he said, he's not an engineer, but he said, I would put a wall further out and build it up just like you did at Franny Reese Park and tie it in. And that would be there to hold up the road, but it would also give you a space to walk up, to walk out further on. Or if DOT would allow us, it's possible that we might be able to put in a way for parking to go in and have the sidewalk go around. That would not give you a lot of spaces. It would have to be parallel parking. It would not be allowed to be parking that you back out into 9D from, so it can't be nose-in parking, but it would most likely, if they would allow it, have to be parallel parking. It would not be a very substantial addition to the parking, but it would be an addition, and we have done a study and we know that we need more parking there. And there's also the possibility that we could get an overlook there anyway. So we are gonna just want to first and foremost make sure that our interests are looked out for when we get whoever is going to work on this wall works on the wall, and if it's Central Hudson or DOT. And secondly, we would also like to look and see if there's an opportunity to turn this into the thing that we were trying to do there anyway. So in that effort, we're going to go speak with our Assembly member, Dee Dee Barrett, on Thursday. We're also meeting with whoever gets this RFQ on Friday. And we would also, and then we would meet with Dee Dee Barrett's office on the following Thursday. And so those are a few of the things that we're looking at. But what we wanted to have is we want to have an engineer who's there ready to look at this. We had been told by KC originally that they would not like to do this, and it's possible that this might be something that would make them unable to continue working on other aspects of this, but they've since also included a bid. And Corey has gone over those, and I'd like to ask Corey if he could go over the bids for us, the qualifications. Are you there?
Yeah. Hey. So I'm not sure the new trustees and everything who's seen the RFQ. I can send it to all of your emails after this meeting. But as Matt said, our main focus for this was a site analysis, which includes geotechnical surveys, as well as we wanted to include, if possible, test borings where they actually go into the ground and test the soil all the way through. And so what we based it off of was cost, demonstrated ability to meet objectives, the experience of the firm, qualifications of personnel, references, recommendations, and testimonials, and methodology and approach. And we received 6 responses this week for that. And the lowest number for that was actually KC, who is obviously probably most familiar with the site, considering they're in the village quite often. The total was $27,594.72. And then without boring, that's with boring included, without the boring, it came to about $12,094.72. And so that was the lowest bid that we're looking at. Again, this one was a little tough because it was kind of up in the air with who's going to ultimately take it over. But we wanted to get this going because it is halting another project. So we put this bid out, and that was our lowest bid. And yeah, we just need to figure out what we're doing moving forward with it. Any questions on that? Like I said, I can send you all the RFQ either after or possibly during this meeting. I'm not sure if you all have village emails already.
So that's just to pay for the analysis of it?
For the analysis and the geotechnical portion of it. So the $12,000 is the engineering fee, and the portion that has to do with the boring, I think, is 10,000 or 15,000.
Yeah, that's what makes it come to 27.
Yeah, and it's not. It's very likely that would have to be done. That would not be a check that would get written to KC. That would be written to the boring place. But that's the total for that. And the idea is that they would assist us and go to meetings with DOT and be there to represent our interests as far as the design, and also have a better understanding. There would be surveys that would be included with it. There would be the ability to get information about whether or not, to get better information as to whether or not this is our responsibility or DOT's responsibility.
if it's not our responsibility, will they share in any of the payment of that?
No one will share in any of the payment of, or it would be like bringing a lawyer to a meeting where you want your interests represented. And that's a not to exceed number. So there's the possibility that DOT will just keep doing what they're doing. But I do think that the village should have somebody ready to have done an analysis of this and be ready to speak about this wall with more information on our side. So you've got two other entities looking at it.
And you think the second part, the pouring, is essential to that too?
I think it's likely, but not definitely essential, but it's likely.
You said that you got bids from other companies as well?
Yeah, these aren't actual bids. These
I
are
mean,
requests for qualifications. So we also wanted to look and make sure that that they had done work on retaining walls. We wanted to make sure that they've done work with the Department of Transportation. We wanted to make sure that they were knowledgeable about New York State Department of Transportation, not just Ohio State Department of Transportation. So we looked at a variety of issues around that.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay. Okay.
I can also tell you that the dollar per hour, that's where KC really excelled, because the dollars per hour were much less than the other entities. So there were places where we got a lower dollar per hour. We got a lot of bids from Long Island engineering firms, and I mean, it was put on BidNet, so it was able to be seen by anybody, but I do think it's in the best interest of the village to have some understanding of what has to be done there. And the reason for that is also because we own the property that is at this site. So the other site where I think the village took this over around 1974, when the property at what would have been 2680 and 2682 West Main Street collapsed. Am I right about that, Billy?
Somewhere,
It's the mid 70s.
I think so, somewhere around there.
Yeah. So at that point, so this would be a good reason not to take the property next door ever, because it does make it hazy as to whether or not what responsibility we have in this issue, because the face of more than just the face of the retaining wall is potentially located inside our parcel.
Now, if we didn't do anything, would the state do anything about it?
I think they would. They haven't said they
They'll
would.
probably end up billing us, correct?
No, I don't know that either.
I mean, it's something that's got to get done. I understand. It's just, I mean, it's just a big chunk that.
Yeah, and we've also filed a claim. So we filed. So we have claims for this. This is something that I imagine would be reimbursable, possibly in portion by the insurance company or from Central Hudson.
Mhm.
So that is possible too. But I'm not going to tell you that we're definitely going to get this money back.
Yeah, I understand. I guess we
Well,
gotta-
Matt, I think we need some representation. Do you think we need all of that representation? What's your,
Oh, I don't think,
what do you
yeah,
feel?
yeah, I think we'll start out seeing what they can, what we can get first out of them and then work our way up. But I think,
Hey, can we start at the, getting it investigated and then see what comes about it, or?
yes, absolutely. So the first thing would be to get an opinion from them as to how big of a wall the footing is, and give enough information to find out if this is a wall built for the road, or a wall built for the sidewalk, or a wall built for the building. And the best thing would be that this, and whose responsibility is it to replace that? So we had a meeting with the Department of Transportation and the Central Hudson, and we also have been talking to the county and the state about this as well. So, but we're not done with this yet. That's just where we are.
So what would we have to approve tonight to get it started?
I think the best thing to do would be to approve the analysis of this, which would be the 12,000. Corey, do you have the number?
12,094.72 cents.
Yeah, and it's a not to exceed 12,094. And how much? In
So
92.
basically, the board would be authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract on behalf of the village with the engineering firm that you guys choose.
There she go black.
Which we should be deliberate, that's a contract, so it's.
Okay, are there any other questions about it? So if there's no other questions, could we get a motion?
I'll make it.
Okay, and then could I get a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, and this would be not to exceed $12,962.92 for KC. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
I just want to say, it's only $2. You said 12,092. It's 12,094. I don't think that'll sway anyone to vote.
94 cents.
No, $12,000. $12,094.72.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. So could we get the motion and the second still, right? Both of you will still do that?
Yes.
Yes.
And, we'll just change that to the amount stated by Corey. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, very good. So we'll move forward with that, and I'll keep you up to date with what they're doing. Okay, so at this point, we're back to on target with the agenda. So we have with us Chris Lapine from Chazen, and there's an applicant and owner, Gasland Holdings Corp. is seeking site plan approval for a modification to landscaping at the gasoline fueling facility located at 1663 Route 9. I think everybody should have information about that. And I guess we'll just ask Chris if he wants to talk to us about what this proposal is.
Sure. The applicant is currently before the planning board for the redevelopment of their 0.46 acre site at the intersection of Miser Avenue and Route 9. They are planning on expanding the existing convenience store in eliminating the auto repair shop portion of it. Part of our site plan review, we asked by the planning board to increase the landscaping on site. And it's also extended into the right of way along Miser Avenue, immediately to the west of our entryway along Miser Avenue. Being that the request lies within the right of way, I'm before you this evening because the action is before the planning board is requesting the placement of 2 serviceberry trees and 12 perennials within the village's right of way. And I'm asking if either the village board can approve this or give the planning board the authority to approve the landscaping within their right of way.
So basically, you're looking to amend an existing site plan approval, which would be, right?
Correct. I mean, they haven't classified it necessarily as an amendment because we're doing an addition to the building. They've classified it as a site plan approval. But since the request to add some additional landscaping right away, I wanted to either get the approval of the village board or the consent of the village board to allow the planning board to act on it.
Right, so that it's before the village board because it would protrude into village right of way.
You're correct.
That is the only reason why the jurisdiction of the village board is invoked for tonight's purposes. So basically, you would be actually authorizing or letting the planning board know that you have no objection to the applicant's application to go into the right of way for the purposes of performing the necessary landscaping that's part of the overall site plan before the planning board. So if the board is so inclined to entertain a motion to grant the applicant permission to go into the right of way for the purpose of completing their site plan application for a subsequent approval by the planning board. That would be the motion before the board.
So could we get a motion?
I'll make that motion.
All right. Are there any?
I'll second it.
We got a second. And are there any questions about this? If there's no questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I didn't get the second. Who seconded that?
Trustee Lammers.
Thank you very much for your time this evening.
Okay.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. So we also have a part-time deputy building inspector who has been interviewed now by the board. And John, do you have that name?
No, I do not.
Do any of the interviewers remember the name?
Thomas, oh geez, and I had his,
Garrity or what do I have it here?
gosh, I can pull it up. I have it, I have it, it's not here. Wait a minute. Let me find it.
Okay, so also I'd like to get a motion to accept the resignation of Police Officer Alyssa Cox effective today, 9/30/2020.
I'll make it, Mayor.
A motion by Trustee Huber, a second.
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Markajon. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Matt, the name is Thomas Murray.
Thomas Murray. So could we get a motion to accept, to approve to hire Thomas Murray as part-time deputy building inspector?
I'll make it.
Second,
Second.
seconded by Trustee Huber. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so Corey, I'd like to suspend the rules. Could I get a motion to suspend the rules and allow Corey to talk to us about grants before we go on with the rest of the meeting?
I'll make it.
Second,
Second.
seconded by trustee Panessa. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, Corey, you want to tell us what's going on right now?
Yeah, I'll be quick because more this week than most. A lot of what I've been doing and what we've been working on, John Zarowski went over between Brownfield and USDA and the boathouse and Franny Reese. So I'm not going to rehash that stuff. One thing I did want to bring up is that this week and last week, I've been working with Tom Morris, who's on the planning board. We have been trying to, well, we found a few grants that we want to apply to at the end of at the end of this month or early November for electric charging stations, ports, I guess they're called, throughout the village in certain areas for electric vehicles. And so him and I just started that. We found some grants, but one thing we've been working on now are different people who give ports, and more importantly for the public and everyone is certain spots in the village where these would be most beneficial. So none of them are obviously set in stone yet. One place he's been looking at is Patriots Park, the plaza on Route 9. He's been talking with, I haven't met the owner. I believe his last name is Tinkerman. Tinkerman.
Yeah, it's Ormiter, it's owned by Ormiter.
Yes. So he's really interested in that. And we're thinking about other places, maybe even in the village, typically places around shopping and restaurant areas. We were thinking Mill Street was a good one. And one of the thoughts or fears I had initially was, do these charging stations take away from parking spots for non-charging cars? And they don't. You can also make your own rules and parking rules for them as far as how long people can park there and what have you. So yeah, it's just something we just started talking about, and I wanted to bring it to the board for tonight or at any point this week, or if it pops in your head within this month of maybe a place you'd think it'd be a really good spot for one. Just let me or Tom Morris know. We're just trying to gather as much info as we can so we can get the ground running and apply to this soon. So that's really the only thing I wanted to bring up that wasn't touched up upon. And maybe the only other one is the trees. We ordered 45 trees to be planted at Bain Park, which we've been, they were ordered a few weeks ago. We've been notified that they come in late October, early November. I guess they feel that's prime planting season. So that actually kind of works out because that'll come in after we have our Bain Park meeting in October. And hopefully we'll have the final plan by then as well, so we can incorporate the trees into the final plan. So I just wanted to throw that in at the end as far as things John didn't touch up on. But yeah, so the charging station thing, if anyone has an idea, just let me know. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I'd also like to say that we've been still working on the 9-element plan. And so the past couple of weeks, we've been engaging areas further upstream. So one of the major problems with the watershed and the amount of phosphorus, nitrates, and fecal coliform and suspended solids that are getting into our lake is the 25 sewer plants that are upstream of the village of Wappingers Falls, and the thousands, maybe even 16,000 septic systems that are upstream of the village. So today we went up and met with a group that is able to completely remove all of those items from the outfalls that come out. So in a lot of places, especially up in the northeastern part of the county and the watershed, there are even less regulations than we have on this side of the watershed. And so you see, we've been measuring a lot of phosphorus, nitrates, total suspended solids, and fecal coliform coming into the creek at that point, and it's all ending up in our lake. So the idea that we might have found a very good alternative that could be proposed as part of this project is a very good thing. So the company that we've met with, they also look to take over aging condominium package plants for their sewer needs, and they're able to provide it's a higher cost system, but it has a much lower maintenance cost associated with it. And they even have a system that would turn the raw sewage into potable water. So not that we're recommending that, but that is the kind of changes that need to happen throughout the watershed in order for us to see a cleaner, better lake at our end. So that's continuing to be worked on. We'll also very soon have the recommendations finished for this, and we'll be putting out a notice for a public meeting about the recommendations for the entire watershed. So Corey's been working on that as well. Okay, so I think that's it for this portion. I'd like to ask are there any questions for Corey or myself? Also on October 20th, what time, Corey, there's going to be a meeting about the $100,000 grant that we got for Bain Park, and how the rest of the park should be taking information from people about how the rest of the park should be developed. Do you have the time?
I
6
don't
p.m.
have, I just say, no, it's in the evening. What was it, Todd?
6.
6 p.m.
Okay, and what's the location, Todd?
I think we're going to do it at the American Legion, but
the Legion.
I think we're going to have people RSVP, actually. It's going to be posted on Facebook.
Okay. So we had hoped also that we could have a ribbon cutting. So we're planning on having a ribbon cutting for Franny Reese Park. It's either going to be in the middle of October or at the very end of October. But we are still waiting for some of these last items to be completed there, and we'll be giving you more information about that. So I think that's it for this part, and I'd like to ask the attorney if he could talk to us about this resolution number 36, 2020, 36-2020 of 2020.
Mayor, we had skipped over the Central Hudson gas regulator.
Yeah, I could talk to that as well. So, I mean, you all heard about the issue that arose on West Main Street regarding the gas main, and it caused the consequential damage to our what is it, like a retaining wall that's right next to that eBay store. So basically, I have been in touch with Luke Mangles. He's the right-of-way representative for Central Hudson, and he has provided myself and our village engineer with a proposed map for the regulator and the locations of the water mains for Central Hudson to put in this new gas line that will service the north end of the village. And right now it is incomplete to move forward from a legal perspective regarding the legal easements that will need to be filed so that Central Hudson can go in and out and maintain this gas main, which is on village property. So that right now I do not have an agreement to bring forward to you, and I hope to have that by the next meeting. So I think that this particular matter should be, tabled until we have something of substance for the village board to vote upon.
Okay, so could we get a motion to table this to the October 14th meeting? Is that right, John?
Correct, Mayor.
Okay, so could we get a motion to table this to October 14th?
I'll make that motion.
Second,
Second.
No.
all those in favor?
Aye.
And so that was Mary Panessa who seconded. And so the next part of the meeting, there is, this is the reorg night, and so we will be doing lots of appointments and committees, and I think this board is interested in going into executive session to discuss personnel issues before we do these appointments. So I'd like to ask if we could go into executive session, and I need a motion to go into executive, just the board.
I'll make it.
Hold on, Mayor, are we gonna be talking about the resolution for the local law first, or?
Okay, so we could go into executive session to discuss legal issues first with the attorney, and then just the board after that. So could I have a motion? And we
I'll
also,
make it.
do we have some bargaining unit stuff to discuss too? Greg?
Yes.
Yes, so could I get a motion to go in for the bargaining discussion, contractual discussion, and with the attorney and the appointments? With
I'll make it.
Second,
Second.
seconded from trustee Markajon. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
The board has entered executive session. Please stand by. The meeting will resume when they return.
Okay. All right, so we're back on, and I'd like to ask if we could get a motion to post on the website that the interest arbitration PERB hearing will be on Zoom, and put a meeting invitation for it for October 5th at the time that it's scheduled. Could I get a motion?
I'll make that motion.
In the second,
I'll second it.
seconded by trustee Lammers. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And I would like to also get a motion. Oh, I forgot this. This is from the public notice that we were talking about before we left. Could I get a motion that we would allow the clerk to send out a notice of public hearing on the parking law, the local law to amend chapter 143 for vehicles and traffic for time limit parking in the code of the Village of Wappingers Falls? Could I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second,
Second.
seconded by trustee Huber. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so the board has discussed all of the appointments and the committees, and so I'll start with just the appointments on page 3 of the agenda. And so we would like to appoint the deputy mayor. I would like to ask Kevin Huber, who's been a valuable member of our team and an excellent representative for the people, if he would be my deputy mayor. And I'd like to ask if we could get a motion to appoint him as deputy mayor.
I'd be honored, your mayor.
Thank you.
I'll make that motion.
The
And
motion
I'll second it.
seconded from trustee Panessa. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Kevin. I look forward to this 6 months. All right, and I'd like to ask if I could get a motion to appoint John Carge as village clerk, Jessica McMahon as village treasurer, Craig Wallace as village attorney, Greg Supple as bond attorney, and all of those would be for a 1.5-year term. So that would be until April 3rd, 2022. Could I get a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Made the motion by Brian,
I'll second.
seconded by trustee Catalano. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the next item is I'd like to make a motion that Mr. Rich Fiorelli, who worked for the Dutchess County District Attorney as a deputy district attorney, assistant DA, who's retired, and I would like to ask if we could have a motion to appoint him as the associate village justice until April 5th, 2021.
I'll make that motion.
So I got a motion from Jen Nisnik, second,
Second.
seconded by trustee Huber. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Could I have a motion to reappoint Alex Wensby as a planning board member with a 5-year term? And Loretta Holloway as to be reappointed with a 5-year term to the zoning board.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Brian Lammers, second,
Second.
seconded by trustee Nisnik. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and I'd like to ask for a motion to appoint Donnie McCormick and Joe Simone as planning board alternates.
I'll
And
make it.
Vincent Harvey as a zoning board alternate, and those are all for 1-year terms.
I'll make it.
I'll second.
Seconded by trustee Catalano. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'd like to ask that we reappoint trustee Kevin Huber to the water board with a 3-year term. And I'd also like to ask that we appoint as a newly created position, Mary Morris. Mary Morris served as the chief financial officer for Dutchess County Water and Wastewater. And I'd like to ask if we could get a motion to appoint both of those people to 3-year terms. Kevin Huber as a sitting water board member, Mary Morris as an alternate water board member.
I'll make the motion.
Second,
Second.
seconded by Billy Markajon. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'd like to ask for a motion to appoint Walter Burke to as police commissioner till April 2021. And could I get a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second,
I'll second.
seconded by trustee Lammers. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next item is we had discussed recreation and parks, and we've also decided that we would take out one of the positions as camp director. And I think I would like to ask Jen if you would, or Jen, if you would discuss where we were with that and before I go into these appointments.
Well, what we're going to do is we are going to take parks and recreation and camp, which seems to be in one group right now, or one job title, and we are going to form a committee, which will be myself, Kevin, and Kristen, and we're going to look into how we can redefine those positions. So at this time, since most of the things for the rest of the year are already planned, we will be leaving Cindy as recreation director till April of next year. And then we've separated out camp director, which we've put Cindy in for a 1.5-year term. So what we would like to do is over the next few months, redefine those job titles and take a look at them.
Okay, thank you. So I'd like to ask the board to keep the Parks Commission and the Recreation Commission in as a holdover, and to make a motion to appoint Cindy Latino as camp director until April of 2022.
I'll make it.
Second?
Second.
Second.
Seconded by trustee Markajon. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And could I have a motion to appoint Brenda Von Berg as the village historian?
I'll make it.
Second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Catalano. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And I'd like to ask if we could make a motion to appoint KC Engineering as the village engineers until April of 2022. And planning and zoning consultants as Green Plan until April of 2022. Could I get a motion?
I make a motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Seconded by trustee Lammers. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and then I would like
I'm a
to.
nay on that.
All right, okay.
Who's Mary? Mary is.
Okay, so I'll vote yes on that. And could I get a motion to designate the depository for village funds as M&T Bank, Salisbury Bank, and hold on, there's one more, and Bank of Greene County. And then also to set the date and time for regular meetings and hearings as the second Wednesday of each month and the last Wednesday of the month, unless it's November and December, and then that would be the Wednesday prior to the last Wednesday of the month. So most likely the third Wednesday of the month. Did I get a motion?
I'll make it.
Second?
I'll second.
Seconded by trustee Lammers. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and so the village board meetings would be held at Village Hall, 2582 South Avenue, unless we're still following the COVID allowance to do it by Zoom. And that would be at 7 o'clock for the second Wednesday of the month, and the last Wednesday at 5 p.m. Okay, so for the committees, we have added, so we've got, I'm going to read all of these all at once. So for the Tri-Municipal Commission, I'd like to appoint myself and John Chase as back to the Tri-Muni as voting members, with the new addition of Mary Morris, who was the Chief Financial Officer at the Dutchess County Water and Wastewater, as an alternate, and so she would be allowed to vote on behalf of the village at these meetings should myself or John Chase not be present, and she would also participate in the meetings on a regular basis. To the Police Committee, Brian Lammers, Mary Panessa, Kristen Catalano. To the Public Works Committee, Mary Panessa, Kevin Huber, and Billy Markajon. To the Fire Committee, Mary Panessa, Kevin Huber, and Brian Lammers. The Refuse Liaison would be Billy Markajon. John Carge would be the Electric Light Liaison. John Carge would be the MS4 Coordinator. Myself, Matt Alexander, would be the Library Liaison. The Boathouse Committee would be made up of Jen Nisnik, Mary Panessa, and Kevin Huber. The Legislative Committee would be Kevin Huber, Mary Panessa, and Brian Lammers. The Recreation Committee would be made up of Kevin Huber, Jen Nisnik, and Kristen Catalano, and this would be the committee that would look specifically at what to do with the divided work tasks, as Jen spoke about earlier. The Finance Committee would be Jennifer Nesnick, Mary Panessa, and Brian Lammers. The Lake Committee, the Lake Liaison would be Kevin Huber. The Insurance Liaison would be John Carge. Personnel and Contracts Negotiations would be Kristen Catalano, Jennifer Nesnick, Brian Lammers, and Kevin Huber as an alternate. The Justice Liaison would be Jennifer Nesnick. Planning would be Jen Nesnick. Zoning, Kristen Catalano. Economic Development would be the Wappingers Falls Business and Professional Association. The Grant Writer Liaison would be myself. The Code Enforcement would be Liaison would be Mary Panessa. The Senior Citizen Liaison would be Kristen Catalano. The Mizir Homestead Liaison would be John Carge. And the Safety Committee would be John Carge, Heather McCormick, and John Kozak. The Disaster Committee would be myself, the Police Commissioner, the Fire Chief, and the Highway Superintendent. The local clergy would be appointed as the Presbyterian Church, St. Mary's, Zion, Bethel Baptist, as well as the Church of God. And the committee meetings are as followed. Finance Committee would meet on the second Wednesday of the month at 4:30 p.m. at the Village Hall. Personnel would meet as needed and be closed to the public. Tri-municipal as scheduled the first Thursday of the month at 11 a.m. The water meeting would be the Monday prior to the second Wednesday at 4 p.m. at the water treatment facility. The Lake and Recreation Committees would meet on the third Monday of the month at 6 p.m. in the American Legion. The Legislative Committee, if needed, would meet on the fourth Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. In the Village Hall. The Police Committee would meet on the fourth Monday at 4:30 p.m. in the Village Hall and or the police station. The Public Works Committee would meet every Wednesday at 10 a.m. at the Highway Department. And the Fire Committee would meet at Thursday, 6 p.m. Alternating houses, odds and evens, Garner being number one. American Legion is the first Monday of the month at 7 o'clock to 8:30, and the Legion commander is Raymond Chase. And so for all of those appointments to those committees, I'd like to ask if we could get a motion.
I'll make it.
And could I get a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Trustee Panessa. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and that is it for the reorg. Are there any questions from the board? And we do, before we go into, we do need to go into executive for personnel matters. So we will be asked to do that, but if there's no, does anybody from the board have anything that they want to bring up at this time?
Matt, can we just go over quickly, because I do see Todd is still on the call. Can we just go over the information about the Bain Park meeting?
Yes. I'm going to ask
So
Todd.
just because I just got an email and some text messages, people just wanting to know and some clarification. So it's October 20th at 6 p.m. at American Legion. And they do need to RSVP through Facebook. Now, if they don't have Facebook, what is our alternative to RSVP?
Oh, okay. So they could call the recreation extension. So 297-8773. Todd, what's the extension?
7.
Extension 7. And they, Todd, what's an email that they could send to you?
I guess they can send it to me. So the T Bowen at wappingersfallsny.gov.
Okay. So
And then
that's-
are we gonna have it recorded and posted to YouTube for people who are not able to make it?
Yeah, we can
And
do that.
or are we gonna try to do a Zoom meeting through that as well?
Todd,
I think it would just be the in-person meeting. The RSVPs would be on a Google form posted onto social media, and that Google form has a link that can be shared among people and located on the village website. And plus, we are going to have a paper RSVP at the village hall also. So those are the options for RSVP. We can record the Bain Park meeting on the 20th and post it to YouTube.
Okay, thank you.
okay, anything else from the board? If there's nothing else from the board, could we have, does anybody else have anything before we go into executive from the public? Okay, could we get a motion to go into executive?
I'll make it.
Second,
I'll second it.
seconded by Mary, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're going to executive, and most likely this meeting will not resume. There's nothing to vote on afterwards, so this would be the end of the meeting. All right, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.